Hi, this is Alan Armijo from Tech International and an on-Broadway supporter and Long Beach resident. I'm here talking with Roger Sherman of Roger Sherman Architecture and Urban Design, who is leading the Broadway Visioning Project. Roger, hi, how are you doing?
Very well, Alan. Thanks very much. Glad to be with you.
Good, good. Can you tell us a little bit about Roger Sherman Architecture and Urban Design?
Sure. Our firm, which I think it's important to note, is also working together with UTL Design, who are architects and urban designers in Boston. We're really a hybrid creature, both architects and urban designers. We do have folks with a planning background. I think UTL brings that strength in particular. But we really view cities really not merely as maps, as things that are God's eye views of how things work down below, but rather as places that are experienced and need to be designed from a street level perspective and understanding, and that the logic of the street level is what informs the maps that we make and not the other way around. And so in the context of the Broadway project, the immediate question really has to do largely with whether you really think about Broadway as a 1.5 long corridor, or whether or not you see it as being a series of different places. As your own website on Broadway has noticed, not all corridors are intended to be walked along their full length. Others are places that people come out to from surrounding areas, and I think Broadway is one of those circumstances. We were actually brought on by the Development Services Division of the city, not specific for this project, but actually to provide general planning expertise for any number of projects that might come down the pipeline through the city over a 3 or 4 year period. And so we've actually been available to work on different projects for the last couple of years, but it's only been as of September that we were called upon by the planning department on behalf of Councilwoman Lowenthal to take a look at this project and see if there were what we could bring to it. So we're excited to finally be able to start doing some work down there.
Now, overview sense, how has the feedback and progress been with the stakeholders, or what do you need, or what do you want to hear more from as far as residents and businesses?
I think the feedback has been tremendous. I think we've both UTL and my office have seldom seen such a well-educated populace, and one that actually is also really genuinely supportive and positive in looking for real progress to occur, and with a necessary degree of scrutiny, but not so far as to become skepticism. In other words, we're receiving the kind of commentary that we need that really proves to be constructive and has really led to improvements in the design as we've moved along, but also a kind of a real atmosphere of support and enthusiasm for what's going on, and in many cases some suggestions that have been really quite instrumental, and I think will prove even more so that way in actually realizing the project. We designed the process in such a way that we would meet with 2 committees prior to having each public meeting. The first committee is called the Technical Group, which is a group of city staff that helps us vet different problems or issues, to preview certain issues that might come up from a technical standpoint that need to be overcome or at least further examined. And the community task force, which is comprised of different community leaders, is similarly charged with looking for the kinds of issues that might come up at the community meeting that would follow, usually a couple of weeks later, so that we can adjust the presentation and adjust the design in order to better address those. Well, I think that what clearly came out of the first meeting that to some extent surprised us a bit, but is by no means the first time we've come across it, is that the community felt that in order to, let's say, to achieve the degree of robustness of pedestrian life along the corridors that is envisioned by the councilwoman's office as well as by the community, that the problem of traffic, the speed of traffic, and issues of public safety have to be addressed hand in hand with that. It was the first, really, for all intents and purposes, the first, second, and third priority of the community was not to solve the problem of pedestrianization merely from the sidewalk side, but to actually look at the between the curb lines, so to speak. And so to that extent, it's become really the primary challenge of the project as a kind of key that unlocks all of the good things that will flow from it, is to really figure out how the road, the flow of traffic can be negotiated or calmed, as we have been referring to, in order to then let more benefits accrue, more richly to the quality of public life and public space, pedestrian space alongside it. While providing a greater degree of pedestrian safety is certainly essential to unlocking or realizing the full potential for a richer pedestrian life along Broadway, it is by no means really the only guarantee, the only condition that needs to be addressed. Safety alone, the enhancement of safety alone will not lead to or equal pedestrianization. It has to be coupled with creation of a higher quality pedestrian environment, aesthetically and visually. The questions of traffic and traffic calming have to be looked at both from the standpoint of making sure that people are safer, but it also needs to be solved not merely through technical devices like stoplights and speed bumps, but by things that actually immediately accrue to being given back over. In other words, the bump outs that we're suggesting, these nodes, are things that achieve those, but also a gain for the pedestrian realm.